Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart. We're talking Auburn football schedule. This is actually episode number 4 of our Auburn's preseason or season schedule preview, if you will. Sorry for the stuttering, but anyway. Auburn, towards the end of the season, will take on SEC West foe Arkansas. Typically, Arkansas really doesn't pose a huge match to Auburn, especially here in the past few years, as Arkansas has been going through a few coaching changes. You talk about Brett Bielema and Chad Morris now at Auburn as an offensive coordinator, and now they bring on Sam Pittman, the former offensive line coach for the University of Georgia. Now, we are not sure how that's going to translate over yet because, number one, no team in college football had the luxury of having spring football, which would have been great for Arkansas considering a brand new head coach having to get used to the tendencies of his players and things of that nature, but wasn't able to get that done. So either way, one of the things that has been kind of a staple with Arkansas football here over the last few years and somewhat of a common denominator, no matter who you're talking to about Arkansas football, is the lack of a desire. I mean, you could tell these guys played with no desire. They played with no real team effort, which led to, on a lot of occasions, getting beat really badly, especially at Auburn. A couple of games where Auburn scored 50 or more points. I mean, just lack of motivation, just lack of continuity. These guys have been absolutely terrible in the SEC, posing no threat really to any team. 2-10 a couple of seasons. Like, that's not going to get it done in the SEC. So they play Auburn in 2020 on the tail end of the schedule. By then, Auburn will already have taken on Georgia and Texas A&M. And this game will be sandwiched in between Mississippi State and UMass. This game is going to be pretty important. This is going to be a home game for the Auburn Tigers. And it's kind of their last stop as far as Power 5 football. Well, Power 5 football before they take on LSU and Alabama. The way this schedule is set up, and we're going to talk about this in another video, the way the schedule is set up is that if we go by traditionality, I don't even know if that's a word or not, but we're going to make that one up. If we go by tradition, usually the SEC West obviously comes down to matchups between Alabama and LSU, Auburn and LSU, Auburn and Alabama, Alabama, LSU, LSU, Auburn. Either way, those three teams interconnectively determine who wins the SEC West or not. And the fact that Auburn plays LSU and Alabama as the last two games of the season, I think the SEC West will be determined, obviously, in those last 2 weeks. Now, the reason why this is going to happen is because Auburn actually plays Georgia earlier in the schedule, which sets up the showdowns between their rivals, Alabama and LSU, late in the season. It's really going to be exciting to see how that turns out. Also, going into this season, it will be Chad Morris, who was the former head coach at Arkansas. It will be his first year as offensive coordinator for the Auburn Tigers. Now, Chad Morris has a lot of tools at his disposal at Auburn. The biggest challenge is piecing together a really solid wide receiver core and piecing together a decent offensive line so that this offense can get back to being a little bit more consistent than they have been in the past. I do not expect at all for Auburn versus Arkansas to be a pivotal game in the SEC as far as the outcomes champion-wise, but I do see this as a final tune-up playing against a Power 5 team before Auburn goes into that brutal 2-game stretch with LSU, Alabama, and then let's just say all the cards on the table line up. The following week may be headed to the SEC championship. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart. We're talking about Auburn's preview of their 2020 football schedule, kind of sort of tapping on Arkansas today. The Razorbacks out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, joined the SEC in 1992. They have been to the SEC championship game 3 times, losing all 3 of those. So, as of late, just have not been much of a factor in the SEC. go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and also keep up with the with the Auburn football schedule previews. Take care.